Well, my name is Iris French. It is pronounced Iris, the soft I. I live in Oakland right now, but I came to Alameda because my husband was born and raised here in 1925. He was born at the Helen Tennant's um, delivery, I don't know what they call it, but where they delivered babies. It's right across from where the Alameda Hospital is now. And all of his aunts and uncles were born in Alameda. His father was born in 1898, and there were 11 children before him. He was the youngest of 12, and they lived on Mound Street. And his mother, his grandmother, Catherine Rigney French, and Asa Telford French were the parents of Jack French, who was the youngest, and I won't try to name all the rest. And they lived on Mound Street, and Mound Street is where all the Indians were buried. That's why they called it Mound Street. And anyway, they picked that house because it was at the end of the railroad, and so the children could come out and bring their father their hot dinner. Let's see, have I told you that? And also, they didn't mention baseball, because there are a lot of baseball players famous that came from Alameda. And one of them was Ray's uncle, who was a year older than his father, Jack. And he was in the big leagues, and we actually went to the Hall of Fame where they have him immortalized. So yeah, a lot of baseball players from Alameda, and my husband played baseball, but he didn't get to the big leagues. And his name was Ray French, and he was named after his famous uncle. So I'm trying to think of all the things that Ray would want to get in on this, because one of the things that impressed me was the story about the earthquake, because his grandfather, Asa, was shaving, and they had a little place in the back where not an outhouse, but an extension from the house where he was shaving. And one of his friends came along and said, "Hey, Pop," they called him Pop. "Hey, Pop, you're late for work." So he left one side of the lather on his face and left, and just then the water tower that was in their backyard fell on top of the place where he was, and he was lucky to get out alive. So that was the only thing that happened to them during the 1906 earthquake, was the water tower. Anyway, I'm trying to rack my brain. I've been so emotional from this whole trip that reminded me of everything, because I came here as a bride in 1949, and we lived on, Lincoln Avenue in a remodeled Victorian house. And then we moved to the West End, and then we moved back to the East End, and we lived with my mother-in-law, who had a home on Park Street, and she had 2 flats, which I now own. And so that's how I came. And of course, the water used to come way up, right to where the powerhouse is now on the end of Park Street. The water used to come right up to there, and we could see the bay from the upstairs flat window. So my relatives came here. My mother came here in 1943, and because she was offered a job at the International Institute in Oakland as a social worker. And I was still in high school, so I waited till I graduated from high school and came out to join her in 1945, and I went into nurses training at Providence Hospital, which is now no longer there. And so in 1948, I didn't come in I came in 1948 to get married, not in 49. Sorry. getting a little elderly. I am 89 years old, and this has been a very nostalgic day for me, and I loved it. I loved everything about it. And I miss my husband. He's been gone for 3 years. And he was the raconteur, and he could tell you all about it. Going to see the Blue Goose take off from Alameda, from the airport. And what else did he go to see? Was it Amelia Earhart? They let him off from school. He went with his dad when they opened up the Bay Bridge. And he had a lot of wonderful memories, and he was so good about telling stories. So thank you very much for this, and I'll probably remember about a dozen of the things that I should have said. Bye-bye.